It's Balloon Party. It's not welcome back. I was talking to Joey. The people want the yes, Jackson.
A lot going on.
Uh-oh. Joey Vitale's in. Jackson's flustered. Can you tell he's flustered?
He does. He's got that Neo from Matrix thing. Like, oh no, who? It's not Neo. Who's the girl that's doing all the? Oh, the guy. It's the young guy with the curly hair. He's going back and forth. Hold on, I'm trying to get you back.
Jackson, is a Matrix good or bad? He has a website called goodorbad.com that he ranks films good or bad. You got to invest in it, Joey.
Great movie. Yeah. I agree.
All right.
Matrix okay. So what's the website? I'll look it up.
Goodorbad.com.
It's just goodorbad.com.
I invested in it. Not only does the website not exist, but I haven't been provided with a pro forma monetization strategy. So it's going to be like The Big Short, where I show up in the office and I demand my investment back. That's where this thing's tracking. Jackson, what is the problem?
You all right?
Well, there's just a lot going on, is all I'm saying.
When you
we're
say
not landing
that,
a lunar module on the moon right now. We're just trying to get the balloon party up and running.
You see how many buttons and levers are over here, and there's cameras.
Why is today more chaotic? I don't have the YouTube chat in front of me, which means I can't hear from John Scores, Don PP. I hate paper straws. That Dan Farrell guy. Jackson got sideways yesterday, Joey, with Dan Farrell.
Dan Jansen.
Dan Jansen, okay.
Dan Farrell's with the Cardinals. I doubt he's in the YouTube chat.
He's calling
Dan Farrell from the Cardinals is in the YouTube chat.
Big fan.
Well, Mike Caruso's in there. He's going after Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
All these executives are going after Jackson. That's what's going on.
Well, what I'll say is, a lot of times, you get like a couple of minutes to collect your. I had about 90 seconds to get all of this stuff done.
But we always walk in here, and Rocchio's like, okay, I got 10 seconds for you.
I know. We were talking CBC. We distracted you a little bit.
Yeah.
But the CBC boys reunited.
Jackson took a CBC shot, and I go, you got two CBC guys in here right now. It's a bad idea.
I was mostly just taking a shot at Rock.
Okay.
Yeah, but you didn't. I mean, Joey's going to come to his guy's defense.
Right. Well, I'll say bring an extra person messes with the cameras, and it
that was passive aggressive.
No, I'm not.
Are you going after your boy Marshy Marsh?
It has nothing to do with him. It has nothing to do with anybody. I just have to
and Marsh are very close, Joey. I don't know if you know all these dynamics here at 101
I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I would imagine they all kind of hang together a little bit, though.
Yeah.
They're all trying to. What do you guys talk about at lunch? Like, oh, did your board screw? My board was all messed up today too. Oh,
my cameras. Yeah.
It's mostly them like saying this is the guests we're gonna get, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna try to get those guests too, guys.
That's what you say. And you say it in a higher pitched voice.
I was like, if you guys can't get them, I'll try to get them for our show.
Nice. I like that.
And then nothing ever happens.
That's the way that it works.
Yeah.
Joey, welcome back. And I understand you did an hour with the opening drive where you talked about meatballs and elephants. That's what Brooke told me. That's what Brooke told me. And so I said, oh my God, I got to follow up with this.
No, we kept it between the lines. We talked sports. We just talked baseball. We talked tennis. That's my job. I just talk sports. That's my job. Nice. Yeah. I try not to veer too far off into the left lane. But no, I do. I feel myself at times thinking, I don't even care about what I'm saying right now in regards to hockey or baseball. So I have to. You have to go
meatballs.
I have to go meatballs.
What was the meatball discussion?
Or the elephants. But what was the meatball? I forgot what the meatball. Oh, the meatball was that my daughter, she's got all the answers. We talked about this last week. Mm-hmm. We were at that Seaside bookstore, Sundog Books, and I'm flipping through I love cookbooks. I can look through a cookbook.
Is that right?
I could kill an hour looking through a cookbook. The pictures.
You were on TMA on Friday, and you told us, and I think you were being serious, that you had made lasagna that morning at 4:30.
Turned out great.
Is that right? So were you making meatballs this morning? Was that how this came up on the opening drive?
We were talking about, Randy asked me what my favorite book has been lately, and I said, I love reading cookbooks. But I was in this bookstore, and we got a great little debate. Danny Mac shamed me a little bit. You guys need to. If you see Danny Mac in the garage, we give him like a noogie. Do kids still do noogies? Do we give noogies?
I receive them as a 47-year-old man. So yes, they're still going on.
Remove your hat. I'm giving you a noogie. Yeah. But anyway, so I was flipping through this cookbook, and I took out my phone. You're a smart guy, Jackson. You're brilliant.
Thank you. It's important that adjective was used.
I was wondering which way you were going to go with that, Joey.
What's your take on this? I like the cookbook. It's a fine cookbook. 90% of it I would never use, but there were these meatball recipes where this lady called them known as meatballs, and she's like using milk. I use water. She uses crusty old sourdough bread. I use breadcrumbs. I'm like, this is fascinating. So I did it. I take out my phone, and I snap a picture of the recipe. I shut the book. I put it back on the shelf, and my daughter sees it and says, again, she's got all the answers in the world, what are you doing? I said, I'm putting the cookbook back. She goes, I saw what you're doing, but what'd you do before that? I go, well, I took a picture of this recipe. She goes, you can't do that. You got to buy the book. I go, I'm not buying the book.
I kind of agree with your daughter.
Do you?
Yeah, I kind of agree with your daughter.
You're shaming me too.
Yeah,
Okay,
I kind of agree with your daughter.
So you got to buy the book.
Yeah, I kind of agree with your daughter. You're taking the intellectual property and you're using it for your own use without compensating the author. It's kind of where I am on OnlyFans as well. I'm against the leaks, so that's where I am on the recipe at Seaside.
But we were saying though, and Danny brought this up. Am I taking away from the author, or did the bookstore already buy the book from the author, or am I taking it from the bookstore itself?
Boy, you're really reasoning you're wrong. Jackson, where do you come down on this?
It's a real moral quagmire, Tim, because
now you're going to call out Joey's morals.
Well, no, because I think
I'm looking at it from straight legal perspective.
legally, yeah, there's that. But logistically, I understand where Joey's coming from. You're only going to use the one recipe. Why buy the whole book? But I think when in doubt, whenever this comes up, pay for it. When in doubt, like if you're having this conversation with yourself, when in doubt, pay for it, then you got nothing to lose. But I totally understand where you're coming from.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like it was I feel wrong doing it.
Especially with your daughter.
And Summer was watching.
Oh, goodness.
But we used to do that in the minors. Robert Bortuzzo and I, we used to go to Barnes & Noble where there was a Starbucks connected. We'd buy a cup of coffee. We'd take like an Us Weekly or some magazine, and we just flipped. I know people out there have done this.
Yeah.
We flipped through the whole magazine. We finished our coffee.
You're in the minors. You broke.
we put the magazine back.
I have more understanding of that one. By the way, have you made the meatballs yet?
We have not made the meatballs yet. I'm doing it this week. Last week I was tied up with the lasagna.
Yeah,
we talked about this, and the lasagna turned out great. I know you've been thinking about it. So
I have been. If you're making it at 4:30, you by yourself in the kitchen at 4:30?
Always, buddy. Always. We rolled the noodles out.
What time does your wife get up?
She gets up. She's lazy. She's a 6:30 over. Yeah, lazy. Whenever she gets up 6:30, I'm like, good afternoon. Yeah. And she kind of gives me that look. You know that look.
Sure, no, I know the program.
You know that look.
Yeah, I've been married for Jackson. How long have I been married? 13 years.
13 wonderful years.
13 years of loving.
Yeah,
that's right. How long have you been married?
14.
Oh, yeah. You got me. You always have to outdo me. I noticed that.
I'm sorry.
It's that
I know.
CBC inferiority complex things. Jackson, the audience is always unhappy. The audience is not happy that Jackson's not on camera today, and they think you have something to hide.
I don't.
What's going on?
I don't. Do
you have like a rogue hair or something? What's going on?
I'd kill for some more rogue hairs.
Yeah.
No, with this, where Joey's sitting and where you're sitting, where I'm standing, you can't get all three of that for whatever reason.
Is that right?
Settings.
So Marsh is never on camera?
No, he is, but like.
So then that makes no sense.
Okay, so here's
Do you want me to call Marsh and bring him in?
It'll just be a 4-panel where you can't. There'll just be a random empty box. That's what it's going to be.
Why don't I bring in Rockio?
All right, Rock, if you're listening,
come on in.
Bring you and your CBC self in here.
At
Why
break,
again, the CBC thing.
At break, would you like me to move to the camera?
Would that help? Is it the
yes,
camera?
that would.
Why didn't you just ask Joey?
No,
he's a fine gentleman.
Well,
he would have said, of course,
it was
Jackson.
1 second before we were going to start the show, and everyone's still talking to other people, and so I was like, "Where was my time?" And I'm not blaming you guys for it.
Well, you don't want us to
You're
talk.
allowed to have. No, you can have conversations. I'm not saying you
Wouldn't
can't
make
have
for good airwaves.
But it's like I eventually have to tell you like we're coming on the air one way or another.
Did Jackson get a face tattoo? That's what Deep Voice Dude thinks happened. That's why you're not on camera today, because you got a face tattoo.
No. And look, now that I've changed it, it's all messed up, and I have to go back in here and fix the settings.
Jackson's mad as a hornet.
It's a shame because the listeners should see that shirt. That's a great shirt.
I didn't even notice the shirt. I looked at it all the morning.
It's a caterpillar turned into a. It's a great shirt.
Yeah, the back of it says "Practice patience."
Because butterflies need a lot of patience.
Wow,
Yeah,
look at you.
It's about positive growth.
Let me ask you about this, Joey. As a guy, because this gets into a unique place with Jackson, and I'm a Jackson lemming. Jackson went to Las Vegas for the first time last year. I'm sure you have been to Las Vegas many a time
or two.
Not only with the Blues recently to see VGK, but probably previously. Jackson was all excited about his first time in Las Vegas. He's a 25-year-old bachelor. And he goes, have you ever been to the Chandelier Bar at
the Cosmo?
At Cosmopolitan. All right.
Beautiful bar.
So Jackson shows up there, and I'm like, man, this guy.
I've heard about it.
Of course, you wouldn't go there.
Heard things.
But you got a lot of bachelorette parties. You got some, housewives weekends away, and there's always one that's looking to stray. And I'm like, Jackson, he's in a perfect spot, but he rolls into the Chandelier Bar in a Sleepless in Seattle t-shirt.
Ooh, that is not the play.
No, I disagree.
Well, how did it work out?
Poorly.
Okay, I think we answered our own question.
But really, you know,
That's why I bring up the butterfly shirt that you're sporting today. I wonder if that's from the same collection.
no, I just think people in general are too afraid to make a statement sometimes. You know, I
Sleepless
could have
in
walked in
Seattle
there with a
statement.
plain white tee or a classic golf polo.
That would've been better.
I never
That
would have
would've
been
been
like,
better.
oh, yeah, nothing wrong with that. I made a choice.
Did anybody approach you at the Chandelier Bar about
No.
It doesn't surprise me. No one approached you.
But I wasn't like
wearing that
out
shirt.
there laying game either. I was just there to enjoy a couple gin and tonics.
What time was it again? I guess that's important.
Like time of the year, time of the day.
Time of the day.
Time of the day.
Was it during the day or at night?
Night.
Ooh, yeah. No.
like approximately when? Because like 1 a.m. there is the witching hour.
Yeah. I'd say about 45 minutes short of the strike of midnight.
So walk me through your closet. I've always been fascinated by men and women for when they wear what they wear. You're going through your closet in Vegas,
Yeah.
and you're like, when did it hit you like, that's the one. That's the one that's going to get the job done tonight.
I think it's a cool T-shirt. I still think it's a cool T-shirt. I wear it often.
Would you like to have that putt back?
No. Because that's the thing is there's no such thing as a bad decision. It's a decision. It's your job to make it a good decision.
Wow, how about that?
Is that on the back of your T-shirt too?
Yeah.
No, really, I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
I brought a
Look
pen
at
today.
that.
Yeah.
That's like coaching us up.
Profound. Yeah, no, but that's where I'm at. I have no regrets, and I love that sleepless. I'll wear it tomorrow.
Did you get one of those flower drinks at the Chandelier Bar?
Oh, yeah, like a boat drink.
No, I'm a gin and tonic guy.
Okay, they have these drinks where this flower makes your mouth numb. You didn't try one of these there? Mm-mm. It's some sort of flower.
Did you have a flower drink with your sleepless in Seattle?
No, there was plenty of people there with numb mouths, but I don't know if it was from
I
flour.
would
I think it was the
imagine
flower.
keys and such.
Yeah.
They had that bar in the basement. Did you guys get in there? That sneaky speakeasy?
Yeah, well, speakeasy.
No,
Probably would have had it not been for the Tom Hanks shirt.
yeah. Well, I thought there might be a couple Nora Ephron stands out there who would be rocking with me, but I
Your
was wrong.
mom's boyfriend is in the YouTube chat, and she says Jackson has the fashion sense of a 5-year-old.
Okay. I don't know what to tell you, man. I wear what I like to wear.
Patience.
Yeah, that's true. I
Practicing
didn't even
patience.
notice that. You noticed that right away, Joey. The T-shirt
I
with
like
the,
it.
Thank
the
you.
caterpillar that
It's
turns into a butterfly.
It's the details.
Yeah,
You know what?
man.
Now that I think
nice.
more about it, I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
I
Look at
love that you're proud
Thank
of
you.
what you
I
are.
refuse to feel shame for something that I'm confident in.
I like that.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Too many
Good for
people.
you, boy.
Too many people out there worrying about what others are going to think about them instead of exploring, what they like.
The 617 says he'd been planning to wear that Chandelier T-shirt for 3 months. The Sleepless in Seattle. Were you planning on wearing that?
No, what?
Did you pack it thinking, oh, this would be a great Chandelier shirt?
No, I love the T-shirt, and most of my closet, about 96% of it is T-shirts. So,
Graphic tees, like
a lot of graphic
movies,
tees, a lot
songs.
of band tees.
A lot of old band tees, like you find it when you go to, remember the old Spencer's at Crestwood
Sure,
Mall?
absolutely. I'd go back and I'd flip through those posters, make sure my
Posters.
mom wasn't looking.
That was the only
I do
way.
that this afternoon.
There's not still Spencer's. No one.
Oh yeah, at the West County Mall.
Yeah.
There's a Spencer's at the West
I'll be
County
there
Mall.
at 3 if anybody
Let's
wants me to sign.
I bet
With
they
a
have
tongue piercing.
They have to have at least one Tom Hanks T-shirt in Spencer's.
Yeah, and I'm going to roll in here tomorrow wearing it.
Real quick question. Was at a store that sells a lot of graphic tees, and there was a T-shirt with it was Silence of the Lambs with Hannibal Lecter, and Sir Anthony Hopkins on the front, and I thought to myself, that'd be kind of weird to wear, right? Like,
Yeah, I
it's
get what
like
you're saying on that.
it's like a cool picture of him. I'm like, ugh, that's kind of like if I saw someone walk into me with a Hannibal Lecter
Would you
T-shirt.
feel the same if somebody was wearing like a Jason Voorhees shirt, though?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Well, but I less so because that's so like slasher,
Cartoonish.
Yeah, very like so evidently movie. But like Hannibal Lecter,
Like if somebody was wearing a
This is
Jeffrey
dark.
Dahmer T-shirt.
yeah, super. That's
Okay.
like super weird.
All right.
It's just dark.
Yeah,
I see.
Cannibalistic.
Very odd. Very odd.
The only thing that came close to that was I used to go to the Resurrection Mixers. You guys remember the Resurrection Mixers in South County by St. Catherine?
No.
There was no room for the Holy Spirit in these mixers.
Is that right? They were tight. A lot of dry
People out
humping.
there listening, I guarantee they remember these mixers. It was tight. I mean, it was. You may have well have been at the Chandelier Bar in Vegas. That's how it felt. But no, there was no Sleepless in Seattle t-shirts there. But I did wear at the time, the WWF was huge.
Absolutely.
Remember that?
Sure.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. Remember when he got the cage and the blood down the face? So I had a black t-shirt with the Stone Cold Steve Austin, like blood just dripping down his face.
The girls love this?
They loved it.
Did they really?
They loved it. Like Stone Cold. So I started, doing the birds all night, and I acted like I had beer cans, smash them together. I was going up against the ropes, me and Paul Stastny. We were big in the WWF at the time, and we were doing like this whole act in the middle of the Resurrection Mixer, and
the ladies loved this.
And the ladies loved it. And they played that Choo Choo Train song, and then we were busting up the Choo Choo Train. I thought I was Stone Cold.
Jackson, this is what you missed out on.
I know.
If you want to perform like that at the Chandelier Bar, I think it would have made a little bit more sense.
I think it would have had an impact, especially with the shirt.
Yeah, maybe if I cut my teeth somewhere else.
Yeah, well, Jackson's a Ledoux guy, Joey. He looks down on us. You know that.
That's true.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jackson has prepared 6 questions today for me and Joey. And what are the questions titled today?
This one's called The Place Beyond the Piddles.
The Place Beyond the Piddles, which is a take on a 2012 film called
The Place Beyond the Pines.
Which I haven't seen. Joey, have you seen the film?
The Place Beyond the Pond?
Pines.
No, it's a golf movie?
No. Bank Robin.
Bank Robin?
Yeah, Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper, Eva Mendes, Mahershala Ali.
I've never even heard of
What a cast, and I haven't heard of it either.
Mahershala Ali has like 3 scenes. It was before he was really famous. Okay. Really good.
All right. Well, that's what we've got coming up. Fat Bob says, Joey is my hero.
Mine too.
Thank you, Fat Bob. You're not Fat Bob. You look great.
Thank you. Yeah, there you go.
All right, Jackson, your 6 questions are coming up for me and Joey Vitale, who's with us here on Balloon Party. This is 101 ESPN. Munganess St. Louis Acura, Munganess Burkhardt Alton Toyota is the presenting sponsor of Balloon Party on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. And it's also the place where I go to get my cars. And yesterday, my mother-in-law went to get a new car as well. I cannot recommend it enough. It's where my family goes. And I know if you go and start working with Jamie Burkhardt and Clayton Patterson, you will be thrilled with the customer service you get. They're online at stlouisacura.com and altontoyota.com. And they even set up a secret number for audience members to call or text should they have any questions whatsoever. And that number is 314-252-0029. Text it, call it, and you're talking with the people in charge. That's Jamie Burkhardt. That's Peter Munganest. And then in the service department, Ryan Seiberg. It's Munganest, St. Louis Acura, Munganest, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. Online, it's stlouisacura.com and altontoyota.com. Work with the best, and the best is Munganest. St. Louis Acura and Munganest, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. Welcome back to Balloon Party 101 ESPN. The program is presented to you by Munganess St. Louis Acura, Munganess Burkhardt Alton Toyota, Tim McKernan, Joey Vitale, and Jackson Bennett Burkett with you. And Joey Jackson has prepared his series of questions for us. This is known as the doldrums on the sports calendar.
Okay.
It's All-Star Week for baseball.
Yeah.
Of course, no NHL, no NBA, no NFL. If you're really into college football, you have SEC Media Days this week.
Nick Saban could get in.
Nick Saban didn't have his credential, and they sent him back up to his room to get his credential.
I really like
Imagine
that.
being the guy that did that. So Jackson's going to earn his keep here this week on his series of questions. So I'm anxious to hear what you have prepared for me and Joey, Jackson.
Yeah, someone kicked around yesterday, and I really liked this question right here. Tonight is the MLB All-Star Game. Do you believe the All-Star Game in Major League Baseball has lost some of its traction? If so, why do you think that is? Tim and I have talked before about reaching a competitive threshold where money totally outweighs everything and eliminates any vestige of a competition to non-important contests.
Vestige.
Yeah.
I like that.
Is there anything Manfred and the league can do to incentivize guys to make the All-Star Game matter? MLB isn't alone. Adam Silver was quoted earlier this year saying there's nothing really the NBA can do to make the All-Star Game matter, and the NFL has turned into a block party with a touch football game afterwards. Is there a solution out there?
Joey, I can't wait to hear your perspective as somebody who actually played the game.
My answer is no. There's nothing more they can do.
Do you feel like it was a bigger deal 20 years ago?
Way bigger. And to me,
Then why do you think it's
the
changed?
nature of the beast, and the beast is technology,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I know that's probably the obvious answer, but when I think more and more about it, it's just accessibility. Everything is so accessible. Every player is. You can watch the Yankees play the Blue Jays on a Tuesday afternoon on any. You find it back in the day. And I remember, I think it was in 2002. I was watching the All-Star Game. I was in high school, but that was the thing of the year that the
tie.
The Hunter robs Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
It was a tie. It was
I think that was the tie.
It was the last tie. And I remember watching it, but I remember watching all these players in the field like, oh, that's so-and-so, oh, that. It was so cool, right? But there was no accessibility to it until the All-Star Game. Now,
That's interesting.
It's everywhere.
I've never thought about that being
Really?
the reason.
Okay.
Yeah, because my reasoning specific to baseball, because hockey doesn't have this, basketball doesn't have this, and the NFL doesn't have this, is up until 1997, we would never see the American League players in St. Louis. And so to see, take your pick of whatever American League superstar, you would only see him in the All-Star Game, or if the Cardinals got to the World Series, or, of course, if you were watching the World Series. And that's what made it special. And so I thought, once a lot of free agency increased and these guys have bounced between leagues, but then secondarily, interleague play, it made the Cardinals playing take your pick of whatever American League team not as big of a deal.
Right, that's a good point.
But you make the observation that I think is right on target. You make the observation that it's the scarcity of the games that perhaps made the All-Star Game more significant.
It's just too accessible. I agree.
Interesting.
I think the crossover in divisions is one, but I just think that you can.
But I feel like but tying it into hockey and basketball, you guys were playing every team anyway, and I feel like the NHL All-Star Game and the NBA All-Star Game and the Pro Bowl, for that matter, have all decreased, and they don't have the thing that I was observing caused it for baseball, which is interleague play. So I think your accessibility theory may be.
I think it has to be, and the thing is, they've tried to auto-correct it many different ways in the NHL. If I know a lot of like Altuve we talk about, but he's not going to the MLB All-Star Game, whether it's a left wrist or he's just pulling the chute. We don't know, but you see this throughout sports. The league and the NHL with the unions, the bargaining agreement is if you miss an NHL All-Star Game, you're suspended one game. So that's essentially the penalty. They thought that would work. Players are still missing. Alex Ovechkin's missed games. They come back, they take their suspension, they just keep playing. They'd rather have the break. They've added incentives of $1 million cash prize if you're the winning all-star team. What has that done? All it's done has put more guilt on the players who had won because they're already multimillionaires. And now the flack they're going to receive from making more money from fans. So what do? Now they give it to the trainers. Everyone divvies it up.
Oh, is that what goes on?
So they're not even really, they probably take a little cut, but the majority of it goes to the equipment trainers, the strength trainers, the coaches, whoever. So they're actually supporting with that $1 million cash prize the people that really need it. So the players incentive of making $1 million, they're trying. I'm not saying they're not trying. They got these fantasy drafts. They're bringing these superstars, Justin Bieber, all these great guys.
Tate McRae was a coach.
Exactly.
Jackson Tate McRae was a coach.
That's what I've heard.
He was Oilers, right, with Petro?
No, the
The pop singer.
Yeah, she was a power play coach with the Oilers and working with Petro.
Petrangelo, yeah.
With Petro.
Yeah, Petrangelo.
Him.
Well, I go full.
You
name.
actually, you know what's amazing is you actually say his name right.
Yeah.
Most people who are in the business say his name wrong.
That was a thing when he first was drafted for the first number of years, the Petrangelo thing.
Or Peter Angelo.
Oh, I haven't heard Peter Angelo. I heard Petrangelo.
Oh, and there are national broadcasters who say it like that.
Really?
It is mind.
I wonder how that...
I don't know. But, you know,
I mean, the man's hoisted 2 chalices.
2 chalices.
Yeah.
And now maybe one with the Oilers one day.
Yeah, someday with McDavid.
Bringing it back to Canada.
Absolutely.
But, you know, I think to me it is the technology piece.
I like this observation.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, I always go back to baseball and the interleague play thing.
Yeah.
But when you think about NHL and NBA and NFL, interleague play's been a part of that forever, so that really wasn't the issue. But all 4 All-Star games, do you agree, Jackson? All 4 All-Star games over the last, you're only 26, but all 4 All-Star games over the last 20 years have decreased in interest level substantially. And I think, therefore, the ability to see all these games, like you said, which I love, but it does play a role in making the game when they all come together less enticing.
Yeah, I think there's some parallels with like baseball and football because like in baseball, up until a few years ago, it would decide home field advantage for the World Series.
Infuriated me.
Insane concept that this meaningless exhibition would be something so important. And then you look to like the Pro Bowl, and I think a lot of people can remember that video of the late great Sean Taylor just absolutely putting a punter like
that was brutal.
Right through her. So obviously, that is not. No one's going to do that. No one's going to put their $1 million players out there to get smoked in Hawaii after the season's over. And there's no reason that Major League Baseball should be deciding where the World Series is going to be played, their home field advantage on this game. But is there a happy medium? Because I don't know. If the incentive, money is clearly not the incentive. These guys make a lot of money. I don't necessarily know. And then also the rest portion of it. If you're getting paid $40, $50 million, I would understand a team saying, hey, we're going to give you this break because we need you for the playoffs. And if the league has a problem with that, we'll pay the fine because it's way more valuable to us to have you in the playoffs than it is whatever the fine will be because you're not playing in the All-Star game.
Well, what about maybe the timing is the issue? How do you guys feel about, is it the timing of the All-Star games? Is it not slotted in the right time of the year? I mean, they happen in the middle of the year, whether it be baseball, we're in it currently, NHL is February, right dead center of the year. I mean, do you shift it to maybe it's the beginning festivities of the season? Maybe it's the end of March. You bring all these all-stars together to kind of, I don't know, that change things up a little bit?
I think it's just one of those things that we have to accept. At one point, it was special, and now it's just lost its uniqueness because I play out that mindset that if you did have guys, because some are in Arizona, some are in Florida, and you're going to be traveling to Seattle, New York, Boston, Southern California, whatever, to meet up with your team, and I know guys who are going to have 9 figures in the bank, they're going to go, I don't want to fly 4.5 hours to, play in this exhibition game. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Yeah. When the Cardinals play on the other side of the state in Fort Myers or whatever, they usually send the, guys who aren't probably going to make the team. That's just kind of the way that the hierarchy works. You earn your way to the spot to be able to skip playing games. That probably doesn't resonate real well with the working people who buy the tickets, but that's what I believe to be the reality of the game. But again, I'm going to yield to you because you actually played.
Well, that's why I opened it up to your question. I think it's over. I'm like, it's like The Sopranos. It was a great run. It was a great run, and it's over. We have to shift now to what is it? What else is going to excite fans and invigorate people with this particular sport? There's only so many ways you can skin a cat, and I really do believe that every league has done a very good job of exploring those ideas. Sure. I just think the fans, the people that with the attendance and all the viewership being down, they clearly have seen enough of what they're about to see, so they're choosing to go watch or do something else. And that's just to me, through technology and through the accessibility of all of it, you can't reverse that. I was gonna get a haircut. It's like you go get a haircut and salon lady, you sit down. What's the first thing you do? I want this, and you show her a picture of
Right.
David Beckham or Ryan Reynolds. Like, can I have this?
Ben Mendelsohn.
Who is it?
Ben Mendelsohn. Place Beyond the Pines. Look him up. That's
I know who that is.
that's how I model my hair
That's a
after.
good-looking cat.
Yeah, shout out Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah. And what the lady wants to tell you in her head, but she can't tell you because she'll hurt your feelings, is that I can make your hair look like that, but you will never look like that.
Ben Mendelsohn.
Ben Mendelsohn,
Yeah.
of course.
And I will never look like Ryan Reynolds. And we're trying to make something of this that it just will never be. And we just have to accept
We
it.
have to accept that it's not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, I remember in the 1980s growing up, I was like, oh, I can't wait for the All-Star game. And now I'm like, I guess if it's on, maybe I'll watch it. But otherwise, it's probably not something that's even going to cross my mind, being real transparent with the audience. Your thoughts are welcome, 1037 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. The Air Comfort Service text line is welcome for your opinions. Are you as enthused about the All-Star game as, say, you were maybe 15, 20 years ago? If so, why? If not, why? 314-399-9646. The YouTube chat is also welcoming you to participate in the program. The YouTube chat is where you can talk it over with the likes of DJ Patty Cakes, Tiny PP, Tim S., John Scores, and Jackson's guy, Dan Jansen, along with your mom's boyfriend, who is very active today. Tim McKernan, Joey Vitale, Jackson Burkett with you. The program is Balloon Party. It's brought to you by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota on 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with a SportsCenter update. That's driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Teoscar Hernandez takes home the MLB Home Run Derby Championship last night. MLB All-Star Game coming up tonight. You can catch that right here on 101 ESPN. Pre-game starts at 6 p.m. MLB All-Star Game right here at 101 ESPN. That was their SportsCenter update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Welcome back, 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett, and Joey Vitale in here on Balloon Party. Presented to you by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota. Jackson, you have questions lined up for us. What do you got next? What are you going to go with? I mean, there's only 17 minutes left in the show. You got to optimize here, baby. Optimize.
Yep. Last weekend, the Cubs were doing a little bit of celebrating on their home run trots. Jim Edmonds wasn't a fan in the Bally's booth. What did you make of the celebratory trots from the Cubbies, and what do you make of Edmonds calling them out for it? And what is the equivalent of pimping a home run in hockey, and how would it play in the NHL given a similar context?
Nice. I enjoyed Edmonds just calling it how he saw it myself. Mm-hmm. Joey, what did you think of it? And have you ever called attention to a celebration in the NHL? Although I don't feel like we see it at that level.
We don't see it, and it goes back to, I think the NHL is great about policing themselves. Yeah. But I didn't mind what Jim said. Yeah. I am... I don't want to. We're not the fun police, are we? To think this way?
Jackson is. Okay, Jackson is.
Yep. I decide what's fun.
You decide what's fun.
That's right.
And I don't think Jim was being the fun police. I think he's an old school baseball player.
The guy is underperforming, and he's celebrating in a blowout game. I think that's what it was.
Take your trot. Yeah. Get off the field.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, honestly, Edmonds is probably the anti of the fun police.
Right.
So that's certainly not it. I think he's just looking like, what is this guy doing? It's a blowout game, and you're acting like, but whatever. I mean, and Cubs fans, of course, were really pissed off, and it made its way around awful announcing and social media, and so Edmonds gets lit up on social media, which is kind of standard operating procedure right there.
But was it the celebration that bothered you, or was it the time? The timing of the game, timing of the situation. If he has a walk-off, is it okay?
I wasn't bothered by. I personally wasn't, because he's on my fantasy team. Okay.
So it's getting real personal.
So it's real personal. But as far as Edmonds' comments, I kind of was amused by it, because I know, like, at his core, he's kind of pissy, And I'm sure he's like, this is a blowout game. It's hot. Wish this thing would wrap up. Oh, God, here's a guy who's hitting 229, and he's celebrating like he just won the World Series. You guys are fighting the Reds off for last place. Stop it. That's what I think was probably going through his mind. And so, I think as a guy who I do believe will wind up in the Hall of Fame, he's looking at a guy celebrating, and I think it made it 8-1, if I'm not mistaken. Like, what are you doing?
It was late too,
Yeah, it was in the 8th inning.
I'm with you. I'll add another layer to that. Maybe if I could, let's call this segment "Get Inside of Jim Edmonds' Head."
Yeah, let's do that.
If I could get inside, I think you're right. I think that there is a lot of stuff going on that day. Like, let's get out of here. It's been a blowout. It's hot.
It's the All-Star game. He probably had a flight to, like, South Florida or something like that.
No, that's probably the truest thing you said all day, and that's that really is the reality. But I think that Jim, I don't know him very well. I've met him a couple times, but I think a part of him, I think we all as athletes, especially old school ones like him, I think he went into a pit of himself of, this guy is disrespecting the game a little bit. And I think Jim holds to that. I think Jim's one of those players, those old school mindsets, like, this is the game. Why I love the game is because the game to this day is still respected to a certain level. And I think the antics of this new wave of celebratory, whatever you want to call it, I think it disturbs me as a hockey broadcaster calling a hockey game. When Jake Wallman, the former Blue, now Detroit Red Wing, he does this gritty dance when he scores his overtime goal. If I'm on his team, I'm grabbing him by the throat and I'm saying, knock it off. Like, stop it. Because in my mind, what it looks like is you're putting yourself above the team. Ryan O'Reilly would never watch all Ryan O'Reilly's goals. He never celebrates. He goes right to his teammates. It's a quick little fist pump, and he's off. And I asked him about this one day, and he said, my goal happened because not only everyone on the ice, but probably the shift or two before, players that are on the bench. So I know Jim, he's watching this thing, and you see players dabbing, and acting like complete circus animals on the plate and throwing their hands up in the air like glorifying me. Look at me, look at me. Man, this is a team sport. Baseball is a wonderful sport. Hockey, wonderful sports. And it's not about you, it's about the team. And that to me is that respect issue of keeping that intact. I think it's important to Jim, and that maybe it's one of the reasons why he said it. And it's certainly one of the reasons why I would say it as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective there on that. That's Joey Vitale. I'm Tim McKernan. That's Jackson Burkett. It's 10:48 in St. Louis. Jackson went 5 minutes with his Sports Center update. 5 minutes.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Jackson said, now a moment for me.
Yeah, everyone clear out.
Yeah, and so we are behind on the clock, so we will make sure that we take a break and get back on the clock for our final segment of Balloon Party. Joey Vitale with us here. This is 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. Welcome back, Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Joey Vitale, Jackson Burkett with you here on the program. Jackson, you've got 7 minutes. Make them count. This is your time.
You bet, brother. I got a quick hitter for you guys. I got a quick hitter for you
The
right
final
here.
countdown by Europe. Nice.
The All-Star Game across sports allows us to see matchups that we've always wanted to see, even if the game isn't the pinnacle of the competitive spirit. Think back on years gone by. What is a matchup in any sport that never really happened in a competitive environment that you would have loved to see? This is not a dream scenario where you can pick any two players, but something that could have actually happened in real life.
I always default to the Cardinals and Yankees 2004 because the Yankees were up 3-0 on the Red Sox, and it looked like we were going to get that. And I've been wanting a Cardinals-Yankees World Series throughout my life. Haven't seen it.
Yeah, it could be a team matchup or a player-on-player.
Got it.
You know.
Dead living in their prime.
So this is what could have happened? Like the two players played at the same time. It's just their teams never really matched up, whether it be Major League Baseball for interleague play. I always default here. I'll say like mine is always that Kobe and LeBron never really got a real series. Like they've never played each other in the finals. Like how cool would that have been? You know, we never really got to see it. We saw it in the All-Star games, but we never got to see it in real life.
So I'm breaking the rules when I say like Michael Jordan, LeBron, because they're two different eras.
Right.
I see.
Right.
Okay.
Now you could do Kobe, LeBron, but they did play against each other. Or, I'm sorry, Kobe and Jordan. They played against each other.
Got it.
You know, so I was thinking like baseball probably is like, could you have ever seen like Nolan Ryan against, take your pick of some guy from the 80s who was a massive hitter?
God, I don't know. Like we were a season away, maybe even a fumbled punt away, Joey. I don't know if you recall this from that Rams offense going up against the Ravens defense. Exactly right. Azahir Hakeem fumbling that
10-yard line-ish?
I was at that game in New Orleans when he fumbled it, and I was sitting right next to Randy Carricker.
Okay.
And it was a bit of an unfortunate tradition that Hakeem would fumble punts, muff the punts, and as the ball is sailing past Randy and I in the press box, I say, he hasn't fumbled a punt yet today. Yeah, so 25 years later, I need to blame.
You're being facetious because he had fumbled a bunch that year.
Oh, yeah, that's why it was a tradition.
Postseason, too, including the postseason.
It was just something that was regular.
Mike Martz was in charge of the team.
The head coach, yeah.
And he allowed him, because at times throughout the year, he would almost put Ricky Prohl, and was it Ricky? Someone just conservatively, let's just catch this ball.
Because we knew that he was going to catch the ball.
Right.
So had the Rams won that game, there wasn't really a powerhouse in the NFC that year. The Giants wound up going to the Super Bowl. They got stopped by the Ravens. I would have loved to have seen the St. Louis Rams offense with a terrible defense go up against the Baltimore Ravens defense with a terrible offense. Quarterbacked by anybody? Nurse?
Trent Dilfer?
That's correct.
Trent Dilfer, good call.
And I believe Tony Banks was the backup.
Oh, Tony Bank.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the correction.
Plural.
So that would have been one. In hockey, has there been? Like the 2002 Red Wings is the team that I like hold up as just being like, I saw them beat the hell out of the Blues in that series. I went to Joe Louis Arena for that series.
And that may have been the best team on paper.
I mean, when you look at the roster, it's just like Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer. It was just insane.
It was nonstop.
So I don't know if there was, I'm trying to, I mean,
it's a tough question. I feel like most teams and players eventually found
kind of get
each
to
other.
our
Right, but that like I was thinking some with Major League Baseball because they didn't have interleague play, and so which has always been weird to me.
A little bit intriguing. They barely missed each other. As a big college football nerd, for the Tebow Gators to go up against the Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart USC Trojans. I realized they met their match with Vince Young.
Sure,
but that they nearly crossed paths.
Yeah,
Right. I'm trying to think of one because I know you wanted to get your Kobe LeBron in there, and I agree with it. I understand where you're coming from.
I really got to see that.
As a St. Louis and the Cardinals and the Yankees is something I just want to see, and it's come close a bunch of times. Almost happened in '96. The Cardinals were up 3-1 on the Braves, and they would have met the Yankees had they won that one. Had they beaten the Mets in 2000, they would have met the Yankees in 2000. Right. Same thing in 2004, as I made reference to. But an obscure one is that Rams and Ravens one. I would have loved to have seen what would have happened had that terrible Rams defense gone up against that terrible Ravens offense, but specifically that Rams offense against the Ravens defense.
That game was in New Orleans.
The one where Azakim fumbled? Yes.
Was that like 2 years after they won the Super Bowl? Was that
It was
like
the following year.
2001.
Yes.
Okay.
It was the following year. And then they would wind up losing the Super Bowl in that building about 13 months later. And I was there
at that
too.
game. You were
at the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah. The field goal, that was the first Patriots win.
Vinatieri, that's correct.
Vinatieri put it right to the uprights. We were in the 400 section, or I think it was the Mercedes Dome.
Yeah.
It was during Mardi Gras.
That's correct.
That was my first introduction to the female body, that trip.
Wow, how do we get to this at 10:59?
Sorry.
Tell BK and Ferrari we're going late today.
Sorry about that. I keep thinking about
What
TMA.
happened?
No, Bourbon Street. Was Bourbon Street right? Yeah, it was. I must have been 15 years old.
Was this like heavy petting or something?
young,
Beads.
handsome lad. Had my Tom Hanks T-shirt on. I'm going down Bourbon Street.
God, so you're wearing a Sleepless in Seattle T-shirt?
I had it
Been
on.
just as relevant then.
Yeah, I saw a lot of things on that trip. We did not see a Super Bowl win,
That
though.
is fun for the whole family.
It was something. My mom and dad were completely oblivious.
Did you have a lot of beads? Were you decked
I
out in
came
beads?
home with, you couldn't even see my T-shirt. I had so many beads. And then we watched the Rams blow it, unfortunately. I got a beer shower. I was in a Patriots section up in 400.
Oh, yeah.
That was tough. What a fun game.
Oh, it was brutal. I was under, because they made us leave the seats. That's where we were sitting as media. There was enough room in the press box. You had to go under the Superdome for when the game would end.
Right.
And everybody was pulling for the Patriots.
Yeah.
And all the media starts cheering when that ball goes through the uprights. And I'm like, oh, God, this might be really bad for us. And then, 14 years later, the team's gone.
Right. Always like the Dragon.
Well, it was that even the game before when Ricky Prohl made that catch. That team was you knew they were just, there was magic left. There was magic left. And you were still waiting, and it just didn't happen.
Well, I think the Patriots knew that if they didn't score there, they were going to lose in overtime.
Yeah.
So, hey, tip of the cap. They did something that John Madden said. They got to sit on the football. And then sure enough, you saw what wound up happening. That's Joey Vitale. That's Jackson Burkett. I'm Tim McKernan. BK and Ferrari are coming up next. Joey as well. Thank you so much for coming in another
Thank you,
day.
guys.
Here on the
Always a
program.
pleasure. You guys are great.
And Jackson, you prepared a wonderful smorgasbord of questions. I don't
Yum,
care
yum,
what
yum, yum, yum,
Dan Jansen says.
I've never cared.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I work for me.
BK and Ferrari are coming up next for Joey Vitale, Jackson Burkett. I'm Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN.